Hey guys, what's up? Sherman here, back with another knife review. Kind of long overdue. I haven't really done a knife review in a while, and I apologize for that. But honestly, I haven't really gotten a lot of newer knives. I've been kind of busy with doing outdoorsy stuff, new gear and whatnot, but I wanted to review this knife. I was really excited about it. If you haven't seen my unboxing, this knife was a birthday gift from my very good friend on here, California Weapon Guy. And this knife, it really means a lot to me. It is a super awesome knife. I've been wanting it even before I received it. So, I love it because it's a really cool knife. And it has a lot of sentimental value to me because it's from a dear friend. Alright, let me just get started. This is my review of the Kershaw 730 Groove. Bunch of different versions of this knife. You can get a black oxide coated. They make a tanto version as well. But I'll save all that for later. First of all, let's start off with the handle. The handle is constructed of a 410 stainless steel. See, it's pretty thin with G10 overlays. Now, they're not technically full scales because that would mean that it encompasses the entire frame, which it doesn't. It's just a partial. But very cool design. It's kind of like waves or something. But very cool little design. Definitely something unique for my collection. And I'd say for the texturing, it's about on par with the Kershaw Skyline. It's definitely a lot better than the Spyderco Tenacious. But it's not super aggressive like the Spyderco Paramilitary. But it is definitely adequate. It offers very nice traction. Torx bit construction, so you can take these overlays off. As well as the take the handle, the frame off as well, of course. On the side you can see normal Kershaw pocket clip. Very pleased about that. They didn't try to go with some kind of weird, Batman, Batwing design. So, it came tip down, but I changed it because I prefer tip up carry. It is only for right hand. So tip up, tip down, right hand only. And you have a lanyard hole right there, small lanyard hole. It's kind of obstructed a little bit by the pocket clip when it's tip up, but that's okay. Really not a big enough hole to put a lanyard through. It's just kind of a gripe of mine with a lot of these knife companies. If you're gonna make a lanyard hole, make it functional. The edges of this frame are very nicely radiused, meaning that they're smooth, there's no jagged edges, and I really like that. Flow-through construction, you can see the pillars in there. I really like flow-through knives, personally. I like the way they look. Lightens them up a little bit, makes it very easy to clean out. Alright, so like I said, you can take it apart, Torx bits and everything. You see there are no thumb studs. It is flipper actuated only, which isn't really a problem with mine. But let's get to the blade. Bam, there you go. Look how sexy that looks. That is a sexy looking blade in my opinion. See a close up of that. You can see where the knife gets its name, the groove. A few other knife designs share that same kind of groove pattern in the blade, such as the Chill and I think the Zing. Or maybe it's just the Zing and maybe the Chill. I forget. But very cool. The rest of the blade is just kind of a fine satin polish, which I'm glad Kershaw did not bead blast it. But it looks like the insides of those grooves are sandblasted. Just a very cool design. I see Kershaw etched into the blade on that side. 1730 on the other. Made in the USA. R.J. Martin design. A lot of you know about those great designs. The blade, it's kind of confusing because a lot of knife websites said it is a 13C26 steel. But on the actual Kershaw website, it says it's 14C28N. So I'm gonna go with the manufacturer details on that one. So 14C28N steel, that is a Sandvik steel. Both of those I mentioned are a Sandvik steel, and that's a Swedish steel. Very nice. I've had good experiences with that steel in terms of edge retention, ease of sharpening. Just look at that beautiful polish. You can see the blade does have a very subtle recurve to it, which I like in the in utility work. You get that really nice belly for kind of like a sweeping motion for cutting open boxes and packages. And someone asked me one time if those grooves inhibit some of the cutting capabilities. I found with cutting things like paper it doesn't, but if I'm cutting thick abrasive materials such as cutting open cardboard boxes, that sweeping motion, those grooves do inhibit a little bit of that motion. Not enough for it to stop the blade or anything like that, but it's not just a simple sweep. You do feel a little bit of resistance. But during push cuts, like just pushing the knife through material, it actually aids in that. So, pretty thick blade stock as well. But very, very durable. Now, I don't know if those grooves serve a bigger function in terms of rigidity. I'm really not sure. I've read a few things about the blade that says those grooves are meant to make the blade stronger. I guess kind of the same principle as how an I-beam works. I'm really not sure. I have not tested this knife and not going to. So I'm really not sure if it does make the blade stronger. I just love, personally, the way it looks. The blade did come razor sharp like all of the Kershaw knives I've ever owned do. And of course you have that big flipper, so it actually adds as a finger guard, which I like with a lot of Kershaw's designs. The flipper doubles as a functional finger guard. So the handle here, you have two finger choils. You have a main index finger choil and a secondary middle finger choil, which is very nice. You get a very solid grip on this knife. The ergonomics are really incredible. So you get a nice solid grip on that blade. And you do have some jimping down here. You have some jimping down here where your palm would rest. It's actually pretty functional. It could be a little bit more rough. The edges are kind of smoothed off. And then you have some jimping here for where your pinky would sit. And that you can actually feel it, so it is functional. That jimping right there, you can see digs into your palm. And you do have a slight thumb ramp with a little bit of jimping. Now, I will say, I will give this a hit, the jimping is non-functional. You can see how shallow it is, basically just like scallops. Very smooth. I could modify that if I really wanted to. But it has not inhibited the function of this knife at all. That very deep choil, your finger is never going to slip away from this knife. You have the same kind of jimping down here by the finger choil. You can see how early it locks up. Rock solid lockup, by the way. I know that varies from knife to knife, but this has absolutely none up and down and none side to side. And yet, look how smooth this knife is. I mean, I'm having to apply no wrist flick whatsoever. Super, super smooth. Partially due to the phosphor bronze bushings. But, I mean, I have that pivot tightened all the way, and there's no side-to-side blade play whatsoever. And it is still that smooth. You can actually flick this out of the handle with just a little bit of a wrist flick without touching, the flipper at all. You can, it's hard to do all on camera, but see if I can get it to do it. There we go. Now, to a lot of people, that might be a downside because that would be considered a gravity knife. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I like that the knife is that smooth. So, not a problem with me whatsoever. So, it's just super smooth, super sharp. Let me get to the blade length specs, because this is a fairly bigger knife. The blade length is right... It looks like it's about right at 3.5 inches. Overall, it's well over 6 inches. But the blade length is about 3.5 inches. And here comes a little bit of the controversy. A lot of knife websites say this is a liner lock, and you can see, it's really judging, you can judge for yourself. Kershaw markets it as a frame lock. That's what it says on their website. Here again, I'm going to go with the manufacturer's specs on this one. And it really technically is a frame lock. Okay, I know that these little overlays do come over the frame, but not entirely. So that would still be technically a frame lock. Okay, guys? Like I said, that's technicality. You can call it what you will because it is close to both, but it is technically a frame lock. Okay? Here's another Kershaw knife. Alright, so you have the frame, and the entire frame is covered by a scale. So the entire frame is covered. So that would mean that the original frame of the knife would be a liner. So that's going to be a liner lock. Alright, since this is not completely covering the frame, this is just an overlay, it's not an entire scale. So it is going to be still considered a frame lock. Okay? So, it's going to confuse a lot of people on a lot of websites. It doesn't really matter though. Super easy to disengage. Just a super smooth knife. I'm really impressed with that. Just a pleasure to use. The weight, here again, a lot of websites say it's 4.2 to 4.5 ounces. Kershaw says it's 5.2. I'm going with Kershaw on that one again. Not just because they say it, because it does feel like that. It is pretty heavy. But I don't care, I like that heft. And this just fits so well in the hand. And reverse grip. Here you get that jimping for your thumb going on there. It's just super comfortable. The ergonomics are just so incredible on this knife. And also one more thing, I've been carrying this for about 2-3 weeks now. And I have had no trouble whatsoever with this ripping up my pocket. The pocket clip rides pretty tight. I actually had to adjust this. It came kind of like that, kind of away from the frame of the knife. So I had to kind of take it off and bend it slightly. That's not going to be all of the models. I find that with a few different knives that you have to bend the clips. So I have it on there pretty tight, but that G10 has not been aggressive enough to rip up my pocket. And that's definitely something I'll look for, trust me. So, that rides just fine in the pocket. And just for you guys who like to see, it's only going to be, you're going to have about that much showing from your pocket. No problem though, no rough edges to bang your hand on. Very easy to extract and super easy to get that blade out. So, you have a nice big knife. This could serve in an emergency, I guess, last-ditch, quote-unquote, tactical application. But it also makes a great EDC knife. Does feel excellent in the hand, and it just feels incredible. Like I said, it just feels like a really badass blade. Like I said, they do make a Tanto version of this blade, which looks really cool. It's not a recurve, obviously. It's kind of a subtle, like, hawkbill shape. Also, one more thing I wanted to mention about this double finger choil. If you had to, you could choke up on it, put your index finger in that first choil, and you still get a solid 3, almost 4 finger grip on there with my hand. So you get some extended reach on that blade if you need it. And you actually feels really secure. So, let me give a little cutting demonstration. I know you guys are interested in that. So it does come Kershaw sharp. Right from the box. Now it is a thicker blade, so it's going to have a little bit more trouble cutting through paper than, say, a Swiss Army knife blade. So, super awesome knife. I cannot thank my buddy Jeff enough for getting this for me for my birthday. Such a cool knife, such an excellent piece for my collection. And just an overall awesome knife. This thing retails for about $48 to $50 depending on where you look. Like I said, check out the different models of this knife if you're interested. And I highly recommend this blade. This is such a cool design by Kershaw, and just a lot of things, as usual, executed very well. As usual, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed. Stay safe, and God bless. Sherman614. Peace.